I'm Levi Morgan, and you're listening to the Maniml Mindset Podcast. Macho Man and what was it, El Diablo?
El Diablo.
Yes.
Mexican fried
You're just
chicken.
jealous that you didn't come up with that on your own. You're right. I'm just jealous.
That's
jealous.
a good one.
All right, see you tomorrow. See you tomorrow. Wait, I hate you.
Yeah. Stole my wife.
Oh, hi, Ricky. How nice of you to stop by. Stop by. This is my house. Oh, you didn't hear? You're getting a divorce.
I've got to watch that movie. It's been a long time.
It's been a forever, and I can still quote it about word for word.
Golly.
Step Brothers.
Sure.
I've seen Wedding Crashers 3 times in theaters.
It's good.
Mm-hmm.
It's good too. Yeah.
It is
good movie.
awesome.
It was good. I still use the Uncle Ned's kid thing. We'll be Uncle Ned's
Yeah.
kid.
Yeah.
Bubba Ganoush.
Bubba Gadoosh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Threw
Well-
Uncle Chip's war medals off the bridge.
Sounds like a pretty good day to me. My teacher asked me, what's the capital of North Carolina? And I said, Washington, D.C. Bingo.
I told her she had a lumpy butt.
Lumpy butt.
Yelled at me. Golly, I've laughed at that. You never met Sean Evans.
No.
He was one of my best friends from Kansas. But my gosh, we'd sit there and watch Step Brothers and Talladega Nights, and he'd quote every
He
word.
knew
of it.
every word.
Oh, yeah. We were just talking about that the other day in a different podcast with like The Incomplete Hunter and how movies just totally change people's life because
They
like
do.
it really does.
For sure.
Like that Incomplete Hunter movie, like we were talking about that, a guy I grew up with, he talked like Willie and Billy for the rest of his life. Some of my buddies they quote Step Brothers in every conversation.
That's it brings joy to your life somehow in your warped mind.
Yeah.
that never leaves.
No.
Random funny comedy.
I love dumb like humor.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Some people they're like, that's so stupid. But even like Napoleon Dynamite I like.
Awesome. Love it.
You ever see that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Been a long time, but it was funny. Michael always says, because he don't like Will Ferrell.
No.
Michael Neal. He makes fun of me and Russ because we watch. He goes, God, y'all are stupid.
Will Ferrell?
He
He's my
will.
favorite.
He will not watch a movie
No.
with him in it.
He don't get it.
He's
That's kind of the way Samantha likes some of those, like Step Brothers, but then some of them she's like, it's so dumb.
No, it's not.
Yeah. That's all me and McCarthy do out there shooting
Oh yeah.
is quote funny movies. Everybody thinks we're all serious.
Telling you it brings joy to your life.
Yeah.
The campaign.
Oh my gosh. When he's sitting at the kitchen table with his kids.
Yes.
That's my favorite part.
I stuck a firefly up my butt. Why? I want to see my farts glow.
See, I hadn't watched that one in a long time either.
Oh shoot, dude. That's got what is that, Zach Galifianakis and
Yes.
Yeah. That's funny. Oh man.
Farted in the elevator. What was something about a war veteran? What was that? It was in that movie.
In the
That movie?
campaign?
Yes.
I haven't seen that one in years.
Yeah, I hadn't either.
I don't remember that part. I should.
Yeah, I don't know why, but I do remember that little part. So a war veteran.
Yeah, well, I could literally sit here and quote those. I could quote 3 movies all night. We should probably do that. We were just talking. We should probably do a podcast where you have to ask questions in movie quotes and answer them in movie quotes.
Yes.
And if you didn't, you lost.
Yeah,
Let's
it
just
would be interesting.
change the subject of this podcast and go with it.
We, could.
We don't even know what the subject of this podcast is.
The subject is nothing.
I'm not sure what time it is. I don't know exactly what's went on today. I mean, we've been going at it for 14 hours, but we've laughed. Andy Morgan and Russ Lane are at my house for the first time ever. I've been coming to Andy's house for how many years? 10 years
Got to
now?
be 10. Yeah.
So we've been talking about doing this for a long time, and hunting season around the corner. We figured we'd do some bow setups, podcast a little bit, see what we could get done. We did get a bow tune today.
Yeah. What? 3 or 4 times.
3, yeah. I've changed more top hats and restring,
Well,
retie, knocking loops, but we got it.
we learned a lot, really.
We did learn.
Yeah. It wouldn't take you that long to do the next one because
No.
now we know.
Yeah.
Well, it's just so, I don't work on people's bows really that have that long a draw length, those specs. Even mine at 31, it was like that extra half inch.
Yeah. And 75-pound mods, bringing the heat.
Yeah. I'd never seen a bow tune. I haven't seen a weak spine like that with a gold tip.
250.
A 250 spine was too weak.
Yeah.
And it tuned, a 1/4 inch knock low.
Uh-huh.
It's where it wanted to be. And I was like, well, neither one. I was like, I don't like the way it looked.
It was like pointed. The arrows pointed at the sky.
But it shot good.
It actually did. Did we mess up even?
No, I think
moving
we
it?
did the right thing.
Okay.
I do. We tore it apart. We ended up going, it was 75 pounds. We ended up going back to about 72 and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And it shot a bullet hole
Mm-hmm.
and tuned level. And but that extra 2.5 pounds, that 75 was just,
Yep.
it broke it down.
I was amazed. And you said it's a weak tear.
Yeah.
You kept taking it down a turn, then a half a turn at a time to knock the poundage off.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, bullet hole.
Yeah.
Not adjusting the rest, just the spine of the arrow and knocking the poundage
Yeah.
back.
Yep.
I just never seen a 250 gold tip pierce be too weak. It's hard to weak. I mean, that's a stiff arrow.
Yeah.
And I've shot 78 pounds with that arrow. And
I know. I've
fine.
watched you do it. And that's why I said I want 75-pound mods. If they hit it 76, even better. The bow pull's smooth and great. That's not a problem. But that arrow could not take that kind of heat at 31 and a half inches. And the arrow's long.
Right. And it's the LRPs too, so it's really heavy up front. So it's a 515 grain arrow, but
Yes.
it's like the total weight of that LRP broadhead system up front with the insert, half cert, everything is like 178. So that weakens the spine of that arrow a lot. And so when you're pushing a 31 and a half inch draw at 75 pounds with that much weight up front, it was too much.
Too much.
I thought about this after we got done with it and we were, unwinding it and got it down to 72 and a half pounds or so. What if we wouldn't have been shooting a lighted knot? What if you put a standard in it? Would it have stiffened the shaft any?
No.
Just all up front is
Yeah.
okay.
If you put the weight in the back, it does nothing, but it might even, some people think it stiffens the arrow up.
Okay,
So like the lighter we'd have went in the back, it would have not helped. It could have got worse.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I called Mark Hayes and I'm like, what am I doing? Because that's a tear I never see,
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, that's not good. Might be crashing into the rest. We went through a bunch of scenarios. The first thing he said was the spine, but that's the first thing we thought too. And turns out that's what it was. It's just, you just never think that's too weak of an arrow. You don't really have much place to go from there.
No, I didn't want to go to a 200. I don't want to shoot one that heavy.
What we could have done is went away from the LRPs and went to a regular insert. Your arrow weigh about 450. You'd have shot about 310 foot a second, and you'd have bullet holed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem with that is when you get up over about 310, that with broadheads, it starts to become an accuracy problem. You're shooting 286 with a 515 grain arrow. That's a very accurate, quiet.
Mm-hmm. So quiet.
How would penetration, like say an elk at 60 yards, how would it be different? With that
Honestly,
lighter setup?
not much different.
Mm-hmm.
See, like my moose, I shot with a 420 grain arrow at 88 yards.
Really?
And blew through it. Like
Oh, wow.
got an XL. People like want to preach you got to have a heavy arrow, and it's just false. You really don't. I would rather have, honestly, like a 515 grain arrow is about as heavy as you'll ever see me go.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
Like I've killed so much stuff with a 450 grain arrow. It's like the perfect.
Mm-hmm.
But we have the option to do that because our draw length's long. We can go heavy,
Yes, right.
and we can. I mean, obviously, any more than that, I feel like you're sacrificing efficiency in a bow. I want speed too. I want a small tape. I want to be able to shoot far. I want the arrow to get there quick.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to. I mean, Samantha shot a 350 grain arrow hunting with a 2-inch expandable at 60 pounds and just blew through whitetails like nothing.
Right.
Then you got guys out here like the Tooth Fairy telling everybody,
Oh, gosh.
you got to have a 700 grain arrow,
Yeah.
Right.
and a single bevel 2-blade, and
Yeah.
tournament archers can't win with a hunting bow. Well, false again, wrong again.
Who recently did that?
Yeah, some guy, I don't know.
Yeah.
Just because started setting up hunting bows, just to prove a point.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you'll have that on them big jobs, I guess.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, it was a long day of setting up bows for sure. And as many as I've set up, I'll definitely learn something today.
That process never stops, does it?
No.
I know I did.
Oh my goodness, yes.
I enjoyed it.
And it was hard to start over. After doing what we put in hours and hours on that thing, and we literally just scraped it all off.
And literally, we didn't have to start over.
No, because we thought the problem was not the problem, but
We could have backed the limb bolts off
could have done anything. Yeah.
and then just back the limb bolts out a little bit, 2 pounds, and it would have started changing things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, now, I mean, at least it's completely done, though. I would take that rig we set up for you anywhere and hunt with it.
I really would take it, and I'm going to take it in less than 2 weeks.
Yeah, we're like 11 days out from an elk hunt.
To Oregon. But honestly, I would shoot tomorrow and sight everything in, and I would take it and be confident with it the next day.
Yeah.
I mean, just you setting it up and notice that it's paper tuned, that everything is flying good. We slow mode it, and the whole 9 yards. Russ did behind me with his iPhone, which that was incredible. I couldn't believe it captured all that in a slow.
There was. I didn't realize it could do that.
No, he'd catch it right out of the bow, the flex of the arrow.
Yeah, he did a good job running the camera today. Do you
The
think
iPhone.
Yeah, you
camera.
think like you might be interested in doing some work for us? We're like getting ready to let somebody go here pretty soon.
Somebody named
Joseph.
Joseph may be ready
Yeah.
to leave.
Well,
He had some issues with his pixels today.
Yeah.
Good.
Meanwhile, Russ is killing it with an iPhone back there in the background.
But that gave me some really, though. Back to the subject.
Yeah,
sorry, Joe.
Sorry, chasing rabbits.
But it gave me huge confidence, that's right coming out of Levi Morgan's house, that setup is right now.
Yeah.
And we all, of course, we're watching Levi do the work, but everybody's brain's spinning, but we all kind of work that out just by like, you're bouncing that off of one another. God, no, what's happening here? It's flexing, blah, blah, blah. It's the strings, it's the cables, it's this, it's that. It's the spine of the arrow.
Yeah.
It was a fun process.
It really was. I was aggravating, and Levi worked his butt off today. But again, they did learn something out of that, and that's new to learn that about that new system and how those shafts are reacting. I mean, that's genuine, but that's huge, huge, huge information.
That's why it's so critical, though, with that. Setting up a turning bow is less critical than a hunting bow, because when you're shooting broadheads out of that with an arrow that's too weak, you get in a lot of trouble with arrows flexing that much with a broadhead on the end of it.
So let me ask you this. So we'd set that bow up like you go into anywhere else and they're setting a bow up. They're not going to set it up with broadheads because they're not set up to shoot broadheads through their paper and et cetera. Right. So you set that bow up with a field point. Would it have shot a bullet hole?
Very likely that it would have tuned perfect, because your spine would have been stiffer, because it would have been shorter.
For sure.
And so with that new LRP head, it was giving us a true reading of how that was going to react with a broadhead. And that's why people, in the past tune with field points, and then they add the weight 1.5 inches in front of that, weakens the whole spine, change. I mean, look what 2 pounds changed. Changed everything.
So your system with the new system, Schwacker there, and the practice head is what saved that setup.
It's what caused all the frustration, but it was giving us a true reading.
Yes.
Instead of a false sense of this is perfect, and then you go out and shoot groups the size of a beach ball at 50 yards.
Then me putting broadheads on when I got home going, dude, I can't hit anything with it. I don't know. I just can't hold it.
Yeah, it definitely made us dig in and before we went outside to get it right, because it was just a true, and that's why we did it, because of the frustrations through all the years of broadheads. You can get away with anything with a field point. I mean, your tune can be bad, and then you still shoot pretty good groups. But when you put steering on the front of an arrow, and it's you've got something wrong in your tuning, it's a nightmare.
Yeah.
And like when you tune with a certain spine, and then you go out shoot with a different one, which is technically what you're doing when you go from a field point to a longer broadhead. I mean, it just changes everything.
So like the length of the LRP head, it can affect the spine because of the length of it.
It's just how you're distributing that weight.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like a field point is what, 3/4 of an inch long max.
It gives it leverage to flex.
Yeah,
maybe.
And so the more you spread that weight out, it just changes. I think they call it the dynamic spine. It doesn't actually change the spine of the arrow, but it's how the arrow reacts to that weight. And so because we've had, it's very frustrating to try to paper tune with a broadhead, because you're trying to read what the blades are and what the vanes are, and it's just a lot of stuff going through the paper. And so in the past, we've tried to tune with a field point and then shoot a broadhead through and see if we could see a reading. But with those new heads, you don't have to do that, And outside they hit. We'll test that tomorrow with you, but with Hooter Shooter, with me, with Randy, with everybody that's tested it so far, they hit all the way out to 100 with our broadheads. And in the past, we thought that was because of the wing blades, but I think now that testing it, it's more the spine.
I think so. After what we saw today, I think that is a legitimate answer for that problem.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's a cool system. It's an expensive system, the LRP, but my gosh, it's so worth it. I mean, they are built perfect when you get them. You know, fletched, spine aligned. All the broadheads will clock exactly the same. So if you unscrew one and screw a different one on, it's going to be turned exactly the same. I mean, it's just a very well thought out system.
I was very impressed too with the build of that broadhead, putting that on your arrow. Just make sure you've got to have your arrow, you know, everything perfect on your arrow before you put that broadhead on there. But it was really simple. You built those 3 that we built really, really quick.
Yeah.
And everything was, I mean, the tolerance is tight. Everything it spun perfect.
Yeah.
I was even impressed with the packaging with the arrows came in the box. They came
Yeah.
in.
I mean,
so you don't jack your fletch up.
Yeah. It was a cool idea that we had years ago. We called it Built to Shoot at first because we were going to have so many more options, but then it turned into just this LRP custom build, like what we felt was the best. So that's what I used all year last year, testing it, and it was flawless for me. And so they're actually available now, TAC and Swacker. But yeah, it's pretty cool.
Custom ammo.
Cool
It's the same thing in the rifle.
Yeah.
Gang. That's what I told Levi. I said, it's like a
Same
custom
thing.
bullet.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah. So what, like, do you think that system, since it's so efficient and shoots so well, like that might open up a door for more air companies to bring a 200 spine?
I think so. And I'm not sure. I know there's some that do like a 200 spine. But I think it's needed, you know, in certain areas. The problem is there ain't many human beings that have over a 30-inch draw, so they cater to your
I see.
Average. I mean, you got to carry the average.
to the 300 for. I mean, even a 250 spine is not like a very popular spine,
They're not everywhere.
and so it's. But I think the system, of the front, is the strongest. The way we put those broadheads together, and so we're going to do different models and different options in that. We're going to expand from there. I think we need a lighter option too for what we ran into today.
I do too.
So we're gonna definitely look into that because I learned a lot today doing that. And the main thing is one size don't fit all as far as weight goes. I think we needed more like room to play and take weight away a little bit, you know, whether it's a breakaway insert or what it is.
And I would really like to have been shooting another 10 to 15 feet a second, honestly. I was hoping to bump right at that 300 line.
Right.
It just gives you a little more room for air on your ranging deer, take a couple extra steps. And, you know, I mean, you could 2 yards, you could pretty much miss.
Yeah, and I mean, I think you could go to that same arrow with just a standard 261 head and insert, and you would be at that 305 to 310 mark.
Oh, yeah, I do too.
With a 440 grain arrow.
And a perfect tune.
And a good tune. It would be
Flatten
stiffer.
out.
Yeah. And so that's definitely an option, and we can do that. I got all the stuff to do that here tomorrow. So that's just kind of like personal preference. You know, what do you want? Are you looking for a little more speed? And I mean, it is what it is. So
Yeah.
Yep.
you have that ability at your draw length and poundage.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna shoot that LRP and hunt with it this year. And it's just a cool system.
yeah. Do you guys? So like y'all seen like the frustrations today, and like it's just my life in there in that archery room. Like I've thrown stuff and yelled and
we were giggling all day, me and Russ. We didn't let you see it. We're like, this ring any bells?
I was sweating. So my question is, are there days like that with y'all? with like when you're trying to get ready for a tournament or get your stuff right?
Bud, there's years like that.
Yeah.
Not just days, there's years like that.
No, I never get frustrated whatsoever. I never pitch fits.
Boy, I'm jealous.
My marshals never see fits.
Yeah.
My cameramen never see fits.
You ever break stuff?
Me?
Yeah, like over your knee, like break a rod.
Yes.
Yeah. I like it.
Yes. I guess it was 2 years ago at Chickamauga. The first 3 bites I had, I either broke them off or lost them. And I fired out in a brush pile. I could see him on my live scope. I fired out there watching my bait go down, and like one came up to meet it. He's got it swimming off. I set the hook, load the rod up, got him coming. He comes off the worm weight, about a 3.5 pounder. I don't have one yet. home lake, and it's 2.5 hours into the day. I mean, period's fixing to go out in like 2 minutes. First bite that I've got, I'm like, I've got you. It jumps, throws that worm weight and hook, hits me in the temple. I don't. It's so fast coming. I knew it came off, and I thought it broke my line, and it hits me right here in the temple. I'm talking like a shot. Pow! And when it hit me, all I saw was rage. You know what I mean? It's like somebody jump up and hit you. You're walking through the movie theater, somebody hit you. Well, it's a fight. You don't even know who you're fighting. So I all in one swoop, I broke the rod across my knee. Took it and javelin through the pieces, rod, reel, and all, as far as I could. I'm talking kaloosh. I'm talking this all happened in a split second. I didn't even know what I'd done.
Oh, dude. Why couldn't that have been on live?
Dude.
I would give anything.
Dude, I was so irate, furious. I didn't even know my name. That's just the most recent one, I guess. I don't think I've had any real bad come aparts in the last year or 6 months. But yeah, I've done that off and on my career. You don't know what hits you sometimes.
Yeah.
When it's not going good and you expect it to really go good. Nothing really surprises me, but when dumb stuff like that happens and it just lights your fire.
Well, it seems like when something starts going wrong,
Oh, yeah, it snowballs.
just some of, like today,
Yeah, snowballs.
it was like couldn't get it right all day. Then you think you've got it whooped at the end of the day, and it just keeps coming. You know, it's just like some days you just got to laugh and start over.
I knew when Joe walked to the end of the range we're shooting this afternoon, he goes, well, it's getting worse.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, there's nothing anybody can do really. It's just like
What do you do?
crap happens. you
So
know?
I throw the rod. I look over there. It made me even madder because it floated. I could see it.
You wanted it to go to the bottom.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You never wanted to put your eyes on it again.
Never again did I want to see it. And look, and it's nice
I know
stuff.
what you mean. I know.
Not the equipment's fault.
Yeah,
I
it
just
was.
lost my mind.
Yeah, it was.
I go over there. I said, get it together. I troll over there. By the time I get to it, he's got 10, 9, 8. We're winding down. I don't have a damn keeper on Chickamauga in June.
He's like, lines out, Andy. And you're like, I'm trying to get my rod.
Yeah, lines are in. Yeah, rod, reel, lines, and all are in. So I pick it up, and I get that, and I pick it up, and I throw it. I take the reel off. Take the reel off, put it in a rod locker. Take the broken rod, put it in the other side of the rod locker.
Yeah.
Get a deep breath, lines out. I said, thank God. Gave me 15 minutes
To decompress.
get my shit
Cool
together,
down.
to cool off, get it, and it was a perfect timing.
Yes.
And I said, okay, all right, now I put up all of my deep stuff. I wrapped it up. I put it in the rod box. I said, we're going to the bank. I'm going to pick a flipping stick up and live or die by the sword.
Yes.
I went to the next place, caught 2 3.5 pounders. Went to the next place, caught a 5.5 pounder. Oh, son, I'm beating my chest like I'm King Kong now. I said, come bring it on. And I smoked them the rest of the day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I got a pistol to my head going, why didn't you start doing this?
It's good to get pissed.
It is. I mean, but it drove me to go, let's go back to the old ways, stuff you really enjoy
Yeah.
and really, really super like to do, that you've had 90% of your success in your career, and it all fell into place.
Yeah, I mean that kind of today when I think I've learned and I started feeling like that when everything starts going south, it's just like sometimes you're like, hey, let's just take a minute. Let's start completely over.
Yeah.
We'll do it better anyway. It's going to work out, and it's just like that. It's like sometimes you need that, but I think it's a mental thing too, because a lot of people just give up
Oh, yeah.
when that happens. They just say, you know what, this sucks. Let's go home. And I see it in what I do a lot. When things start going south, they're just like, ain't my day.
Yeah. We call it slinging gravel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. A guy gets to about 1 o'clock in a weekend team tournament, and they ain't got them. They put it on the trailer and sling gravel.
They don't want to be there
Headed
at
out
the
of
weigh
parking
in.
lot.
Yeah.
Yep.
Dodging the way in.
I don't sling gravel.
No, I ain't got that in me.
I mean,
I don't either. I've been beat up so bad during the day so many times, and literally may not even have a keeper at 1 o'clock and pull it out
yeah.
and catch enough and learn enough in a couple of hours that the next day I make a comeback and I land where I need to land.
Yeah.
I've won tournaments before and never have a keeper until super, super late in the day. You just got to keep digging.
Yeah. Well, I've had people come up and tell me, don't worry about it, man. There'll be another tournament. And I'm like, this one ain't over yet.
That's right.
You know, they're already counting me out. But I just don't have whatever that is. It's like, you know what? We'll just give up and start over again sometime. You know, as far as like, I'll regroup, take a deep breath. But like, I just can't let it get me.
I
feel like I lose.
You do. If you give up, you lose. It's over at that point. So your day, you pack up and go to the house.
Yep.
I always picture the bullfrog and the blue heron, the old photograph. Never give up. The old blue heron's choking that bullfrog down, but the bullfrog's reaching outside of his mouth and got him by the neck. You ain't gonna swallow me today, dog. You might have me in your mouth, but I ain't going down your throat.
Not without a fight.
No, without a fight. And honestly, that's what this comes. If you pick something that is a career, you have to be willing to choke the crane.
You know, the best tournaments though seem to be not the ones where you show up in practice and everything's clicking and like, oh man, I'm getting bites here, getting bite there. Actually, all you're doing is setting yourself up for failure sometimes by getting dialed in so quick.
100%.
Because you're on a dying deal. I mean, tournaments are 6-8 days long, you know, counting practice. The best tournaments start off grinding and they start to develop. And it gets easier and easier. But if you gave up too soon, threw in the towel, you would never reach that point to where it flows.
Yeah.
You got to fight.
You do. You ever have any bad fits, Russ, on the water and break stuff?
I've punched a few units and yeah, it's been bad.
Oh, I could see it. I just fun fish and I get mad.
Yeah. I can't help it. I get mad when things don't go right. But I get to a point and I draw it in.
You do.
And I try to, I don't know, I try to balance that into focus somehow or another. And it don't always work, but at least if it doesn't work, I'm still trying, you know.
I've seen people throw some of the god-awfulest fits. Gillingham. I mean,
a real
like I'm talking about some fits that my 5-year-old couldn't rival.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I watched him one time for the Triple Crown. I beat him for the Triple Crown, and he stuck his stabilizer in the ground, broke it off, threw his bow, and pulled his hair out with both hands. Grown man.
That's mad.
You talk about mad. And I just like kept stepping back. Me and Chris Hacker was like, whoa.
That's a man that wants to win.
He's passionate, dude.
Yeah, it is.
I'm talking about. Now, I mean, like, he wore them old visors, looked like Danny Tanner on Full House. That
Danny
looked like he had a perm. He reached up and started pulling the hair out with both hands. I was like, my Lord, this is another level right here. But
Danny Tanner.
I've always had a thing though, and I don't hardly break that much. I might cuss a little bit and that rod breaking. That doesn't happen often. I don't like to let anybody see me bleed.
No.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's eating me up. If I don't catch them, it makes me furious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I handle it well, and I'm like, you know, you ain't gonna keep me down forever. I'll be back.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, it's winding down. I'm still trying because I don't know any different.
Right, yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm still intense. I know it's over. I know I'm probably doomed, but you never know. But man, I just don't like to. I ain't gonna lose it.
No.
I ain't never gonna lose it with the camera on me and throw a John Tom fit.
Right, yeah.
That just ain't gonna happen.
I respect guys that can control that. Like, you know, I grew up playing ball. I was a pitcher, and I used to always try to, I would remind myself about Tom Glavine. If y'all remember Tom Glavine.
Absolutely.
That guy, you could turn on the TV and don't look at the box score, and you would never know if the Braves were 5 runs ahead or 5 runs behind. If you looked at Tom Glavine's face, you never knew where he was at. He was as even keeled as could be. And when he got in a jam, it was the same expressions, same everything. And I used to always think that guy right there has got it together. If you can capture that mentality, you can probably be consistent at whatever you do.
Yeah.
But I couldn't do it.
He was one of my favorites.
He was awesome.
He was unreal.
He was awesome. But it was a mental thing, I believe, with him. You know, he was. I mean, he had, of course, he had good stuff, but he didn't have overpowering stuff.
Right.
I mean, he was a mental He was
Yeah, but
a
it's
mental pitcher.
in competition. It's so frustrating to feel like you beat somebody and for them to not look like you beat them. I mean, that's disheartening. You know,
Yeah, I know what you mean.
it's like I'm beating this guy and it is not phasing him.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
those are the ones that it's like, uh-oh, you know, you can't get him.
Yeah.
You can't rattle him. You know, I might hit one off. I might just knock a dinger into the freaking upper deck. He don't look phased, you know. And that's kind of what it's so funny to me, like the mental side of competition or really anything, which is what this whole podcast was all about, is diving deeper in like the Maniml mindset thing. And it's like I said it with Riley. It's not that we're like I don't think I'm a manimal or something stupid like that. It's just a mindset that you attack big moments with, right? And so like you guys are in fishing, Rush, yours is fishing and baseball because you had a pretty dang good career in baseball. But it's like so consistent throughout anything, like how successful people attack those moments, you know?
Yeah.
And it's funny because stuff I even know now that I've got, you know, Landon and Jax and kids coming up through sports and I'm trying to teach them how to be like right now, probably more so than anything, I'm working with Landon on the mental side of
I noticed
holding
that
it
today
together.
when y'all were shooting.
Yeah.
I was impressed.
Yeah. Well, I just try not to put so much emphasis on the result right now and more of, because he's so hard on himself. You seen him, he's tearing up out there. Like,
I know it.
I said, son, you know, where your expectations are unrealistic right now. You know, it's like, but when he's pitching or doing something like that, it's like you have got to have the key to your mind and you can't give it to nobody else. Like what you talked about, like you can't show weakness.
Right.
I said, if somebody hits a double off you and they take the lead and you're out there on the mound crying, pitching a fit, what do you think they're thinking in the dugout? We got him.
We got him.
Yep.
They smell blood in the water.
They do.
It's over.
They see it.
But if you just stand up there and you strike the next three guys out and walk off there like, bring it.
Yep.
So I was a lot like Landon, really a ton like Landon when I was a kid. I couldn't take losing. I'd tear up and I'd be furious mad. I mean, we could be playing dodgeball.
Right.
Yeah.
And I could get out. So if I was a pretty good athlete and I just couldn't handle it. It's like, okay, you're going to beat me now, but if I get a chance, I'm going to beat you 1,000 to nothing, and I'm going to rub it in, and that's what I live for. I'm like, hey, I'll get you next time.
Yeah.
I'll be better than you when I show back up.
Yeah.
I'll be better.
Yeah.
And that's driven me my whole life. But as you get a little older, you get to where you can handle that and channel it where you need to, where it needs to go. But it's from being in a bad place about it that you know, hey, I got to control this.
Right.
If I'm going to do this for a profession, I got to act like a professional. I got to do things that's not going to embarrass me or any of my support.
Yeah.
And that's that has to fall into place. And
Right. Well, it sucks to lose.
Yeah.
it's not fun.
I mean, it just sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's like, it ain't all about winning. And it is not in a way, but it ain't fun to lose.
It's damn sure not about losing.
Sucks.
Yeah.
It's not about that.
Exactly. And that's where I don't, you know, even with coaches when they're like, guys, let's just have fun and play the game. And I agree. It should be fun when you're 10 years old. But at the same time, I've seen so many people, and I compete against them, that got used to losing.
Right.
And got numb to losing. And now it's like they're okay with it.
Yeah.
That's not a good place to be in anything, in my opinion. I think you should always be trying to win at what you're doing. You know, and so, like Landon, we were in bed the other night, and he's talking, and it's kind of cool now. He's like having adult conversations. And he's like, you know, Dad, I got in trouble in school last year. And I'm like, is that right? I didn't hear about this. He's like, yeah, I got yelled at, and it was the worst I've ever been yelled at in my life by my teacher. She said I was just way too competitive with my classmates. And I said, well, the next time she says that, just tell her to call me.
That's right.
I said,
And I'll explain.
Probably my fault, you know.
Yeah.
But it is a thing where you have to learn to lose because you're going to fail more than you win in this stuff.
Of course.
Well, I do think you have to learn to numb your emotions.
Yeah.
Because you've got to get through those big moments, and you got to get through bad moments.
Yeah.
And you still have to come out with your self-respect and your dignity, and you still have to have a winning attitude.
For sure.
And if you get beat, shake the man's hand, the lady's hand that beat you, and act like
That's right.
you know
Yeah.
that hey, I appreciate the game. It's
Yeah.
great competition today.
Mm-hmm.
But in the back of your mind, going to be, I'll get you next
Yeah.
time.
That's right. Me and
I'll
Andy
be back.
talked about this a lot. Like there's one common ingredient for people that are highly successful in sports or fishing or whatever competition. They all had a dad that worked on them on the mental side competition and kept them centered, kept them focused, kept them on an even keel.
That's right.
And anybody you interview in here that's an athlete that is highly successful, they've got that
From somebody.
from somebody. Yeah,
lot of
usually a
times.
dad. Some moms, like Aaron Martin's one of the greatest.
That's
God, I miss him so much. But his mom was that person. She spent so much time with him and helped him, stay centered and focused. But if you can learn that, the earlier that you can learn that mindset, the stronger you're going to be for sure. I'm a firm believer.
Yeah, that's the hardest part.
It is the hardest part.
And that's why I'm like, this is something you got to get down, because it don't matter how talented you are.
Yeah.
If you're weak up top,
Yeah.
you ain't going to make it.
Yeah.
So
I had a big league arm. I mean, I threw an above average major league fastball and I did not make it. And it was purely because of mental
Right.
in.
Well, there's no,
aspects.
if you don't have somebody that's kind of lived that to mentor you through, I mean, there's no really clear way to learn it.
No.
it's not.
Unless you're somebody is with you that's been through the fire of it, of the mental side of that. And that's what I love the most about, because I want to learn from everybody.
Yeah.
Because even this past week at IBO Worlds, I still get that feeling like I'm not good enough. Those doubts creep in, just like they do probably pitching.
Yeah.
If you let
With
those
everything.
doubts creep in or whatever, that like, he's going to, crush me right here. But then it's like, because I've been forced to voice these things with Landon, teaching him, it's like almost me learning it over again. It's like me practicing what I'm preaching now. And I'm out there on the line this week, and it's like coming down to the end, and I'm starting to feel that inside, like that sick, miserable feeling like I could throw up in a trash can. And I'm like, you know what? I'm the one holding the key here. Like why not just close it out? And you can change. It's so crazy how powerful your mind is when you can flip that switch from scared, trying not to fail, to attack mode.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of protecting this lead I've got, why don't we just blow it away here
Yeah.
and hit the last 5?
You already know how to do it.
Right.
So just focus on that.
Right. And that's archery is such a, so many people are playing it trying not to miss instead of trying to hit what they're aiming at. And when you go to trying not to miss, the first thing you do is miss.
Prevent defense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give them 10 yards.
Fishing,
That's right.
Give 'em
fishing for
15.
checks. Fishing for checks
Yeah.
can get you in trouble.
Hold the ball.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've done that so much. That's one thing in my career that I've been super weak at, that I'm a check grabber. I was always so focused on, honestly, not going broke. That's the one thing, like we've talked about before, staying inside the boundaries of being a professional, which is making a living doing that.
Right.
I started out with a $5,000 Visa credit card, and I said, if I ever get to where I'm $5,000 down and I can't pay my credit card bill, I'm done.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, my mom and dad own the plumbing and electrical supply house. I'll fall back. I'll work there, and I was until 2003, and I never failed to pay my payment on the 5,000. Got close, real close.
Yeah.
But I was always a guy that's like, okay, I ain't catching anything. I don't know crap about where we are. I've never been here. And I would figure out a way to scratch by and get a check. But when you're doing that and you fall into that little deal there, you're not winning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you've taken yourself out of that play.
Yeah.
But in my instance there, it was survival. But I've had times when it's came around and things are clicking. And I'm like, uh-oh.
Oh, yeah.
uh-oh.
Well, I think
Now.
there's time to protect a check.
There is.
for sure.
Because it was big losses, we still have big entry fees. Back then we had,
Right.
which was, I don't know, I can remember the first $1,800 entry fee that I could have paid and went to, and I ended up still like in the top 10 in the points.
Right.
It was in the FLW, and I was just a kid. And $1,800 entry fee, I said, I ain't paying that.
Yeah,
If I don't get a check,
I know.
I don't know that I can sustain that loss,
Right, yeah,
And I didn't go to Kerr Lake,
Yeah.
which I probably would have busted them. But back then, I didn't want to go broke.
Yeah, that's a big
I
gamble.
wanted to keep going. I'm like, man, if I don't get one there, I might be done.
Right.
'Cause I was holding true that hell, I was broke. I mean, just bottom line. And
But I think that's another common thing. Like you talk about somebody there to coach and work on the meal. Another common thing I think of people that are really great at what they do is they didn't have a plan B. They didn't
sure.
really have a backup.
Yeah.
I didn't.
They were all in.
That's all I know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you make it work or you don't. I mean,
I don't agree with tell your kids what you think you need to tell them, but I personally haven't told my kids to have a plan B.
yeah.
Yeah, because
Same.
I just don't. I think if there's something you want to do, you focus on that. If it
Right.
don't work, then go find something else.
Because
to
I
focus
don't
on
think you can ever be fully invested in what you're doing if you're at the same time working on a backup plan in case this don't work out.
Well, I mean, we're giving advice here is the old saying, the purest of gold was first tempered by fire.
Right.
I mean, we're all, your dad, my dad, Russ, you've got background that we've been tempered.
Yes.
We've all been burned.
Yes.
To where you finally you fall into this niche to where you can find success, but it's going to cost this.
Yeah.
You're tempered by fire by experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of that, the fire is the bad experience.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, I was quitting, been pushed to the edge, but I almost think that's when it clicked for me.
Oh, no doubt.
Backed in a corner. This is it.
Yeah.
Now or never.
A lot of
I'm
stories
going broke.
like that.
Yeah, I'm going broke. This is it. Yeah. This is what I've got to do.
That's even in business.
Oh yeah. Keith Kelly's business story, another one. I think I've told you about it, but just so many times people get backed in that corner, no way out. And they figure it out.
Figure it out.
I turned the corner when my daughter was born in 2002. That's when I'm like,
That happens a lot, don't it?
now.
Yep.
It's now or never.
Yep.
Press the gas and don't let up.
You got more. You got somebody else relying on you.
That's right.
Yes, the responsibility. I mean, just that it gives me chills thinking about it. But it's like when that happened and she was born, I'm like, now, bud, you got responsibility.
Yep.
And that was my totally my turning point
Yeah.
for sure. I'm like, I gotta go now. There's no backing up.
How many guys over the years that they had a child and they won that season? It's happened a ton of times. It's incredible. It's like almost automatic, ain't it?
Really is.
It really is.
Yeah, I think it causes something in you to
It
just,
does.
It's
as
a
a
fire.
dad, it's like you're the provider and
It's a fire.
yeah, you got to fight.
You gotta fight, dude.
Yeah.
Yep.
It changes your whole it changes your whole mind, but it changes your whole life. It's the
Right.
you're twisted in a knot now. You care for your wife, but you really care for yourself pretty hard too. Now
It's hard to be selfish.
you're not anymore.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah. It's hard to be selfish. It's a funny thing what we do too. It keeps us on the road so much, but it's like you're doing it for them,
Yeah.
but it's getting them to understand that
there's no choice.
there's no choice now. I mean, it's like there's no stopping it.
No.
I mean, really, what are you going to do? Walk away from it? And then what? Still don't have a backup plan.
You got
All these years later,
Yeah.
there's no backup
Yeah.
plan.
to grind it something else.
That's right, yeah.
You just thought you knew broke. You fix to know it
Oh,
again.
yeah.
Right.
No doubt. Yeah, I mean, that's there's no handbook for it, that's for dang sure.
No, and the grind still continues. Everybody thinks they want to do whatever there is for a profession. The grind never
No.
stops.
No.
And just like us this year, we had decent years. It's the year's actually been pretty fair. We started off good in Florida this year, and me and Russ both had a good tournament there.
Yeah.
And that's one of these instances that falls back kind of in my lap that you never stop. I caught a 6.5 with less than 20 seconds
remember
left.
Yeah, you did.
I turned it off.
awesome.
I was so mad at myself. I gave up on you.
So, and
I'm sorry.
The grind.
I did.
He was
It's
like,
over.
okay, bud, you'll get them next time.
That's it. Yeah, you get him next time, bud. I think you're going to Murray next. Good
Yeah.
luck. But I mean, you never turn that off.
Right.
And I promise you, it was a weird deal, but there was a patch of reeds there that I'd caught some fish around, but I haven't dropped over in it. In my mind, the whole time I'm going up this little grass line, I get to that patch of reeds, I'll get a bite. And it goes, you got 30 seconds. And I can remember 30 seconds. I said, shoot, I got just enough, probably 5 pitches in there.
Mm-hmm.
When he said 30 seconds, I made it real windy. I made the pitch over in that patch of reeds. And as soon as it hit, and my line had a big bow in it, and it went tick. And I thought right there, and I done lost one pretty good one that day. In my mind, I went, you ain't getting away. I got you.
Yep.
I knew when it bit, it was a big one. And I knew I catch it, and if it's over 4 pounds, I'm in. And when it bit, and I bowed up, and I had it coming, it got stuck in the reeds, and I never let up on the trolling. I went right over and straight, picked it up, put it in the boat.
Yep.
You got 15 seconds.
Six something.
That's
Something.
a perfect
Called a 2.5
example
pounder.
of when your mind is right and you're staying focused and aggressive, whether it be 30 seconds left or 3 minutes left. If my mind is not right and I'm in a negative frame of mind and I've got 3 minutes left, I pick apart what's in front of me.
Yeah.
But if I'm in an aggressive frame of mind,
That's right.
I crank up and I run 2.5 minutes to make 3 casts
Those 5 pitches in a reed head.
on an odds place that I know I'm probably going to get a bite.
Yep.
Like I'd rather have 3 casts right here than 3 minutes on this.
Absolutely.
Nothing. And that's a perfect example of what happens when your mind's right.
100%. 100%. And you know, that tournament for me there at Kissimmee, I had bounced a 5 pounder off the side of the boat the first day of competition, and I ended up with like 12 pounds, but I was outside the cut line.
Yep, I remember.
So I went and busted my butt the next day.
Yeah.
And caught like 14 something. Scratched by, and I made it into the cut in 20th place.
Yeah.
Just did make the cut.
Yep.
And,
And then busted them
and
the rest of the
busted
time.
them the rest of the week, and ended up 5th, got a good check out of it, and rolled
Yep.
on.
Yep. That was a good way to start the year.
It was.
That was a good way to get that momentum
Are
going.
y'all done for the year
Thank goodness.
except for cups?
Yes.
Yeah.
What about what about the heavy hitters? How'd that turn out?
Not good.
Not good.
Oh, my heavy hitters. You're talking the one we fished.
No, I'm talking about for next year. Don't you have to qualify for heavy hitters?
Yeah. You missed it by 1/2 pound, and I
did.
missed it by 3/4 pound.
Yes.
Sorry, I asked. Next subject.
Thanks, Levi.
I mean,
We bled out on this one.
I actually caught a big one everywhere we went except for Douglas.
Yeah.
Douglas, my biggest fish was a 2.5.
I just couldn't catch a big one this year. Caught a lot of bass, but I did not catch any big ones. When you go to Florida and you come out there and I ended up 5th in Florida, and I never caught anything over like 6.5, but I caught like 3 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that hurts you a little bit because you need to catch a big one down there to get some
Yeah.
momentum.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have a tournament, you're not going
Yeah,
to catch a big one.
right.
Then we went up where else? Douglas, and the 4 pounder was a big one, and I caught a
Right.
4.
You did.
Then we went to Murray, and I caught a 6 pounder at Murray, but you
Yep.
needed to catch a 7 at one of those 2.
Yeah.
And long story short, the rest of the year I caught 4 pounders, and that doesn't do it. So
Yeah.
Well, a lot of those, like the northern lakes, y'all were largemouth fishing for the most part,
yeah,
and the big fish were smallmouth, and a lot of
yeah.
you were going on numbers games, like trying to get
Yeah.
5 4-pounders or 5
Yeah.
3.5.
Yeah.
4 3/4.
Right. Yeah.
Well, the thing about when you go up north, everybody's going to catch the same size. Everybody's going to catch a 4 something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you go, you gain no ground.
Right.
Yeah.
You got to gain your ground at like the southern lakes,
100%.
catching big large.
A giant.
Murray,
A
Florida,
Yeah.
and just someplace like that, you need to catch a 7. Now you get an 8 early in the year somewhere, you're probably going to make heavy hitters.
Like
You know?
a couple of years ago, we went to Travis. Like Lake Travis is
Oh, yeah.
pretty much a small fish
Call it
lake,
giant.
but it is a Texas lake. Well, I the last few minutes of practice, I found a giant on bed and caught it first cast. It was like an 8.
That's a clear.
So-
it was a real clear lake.
Real clear,
like
yeah.
a 715.
It was 7:15.
I remember. I'm like,
was.
good God, Russ has already caught an 8-pounder.
Well, that fish carried me all the way through heavy hitters because most, like the average big fish there was probably like 3 pounds.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, but you can. I mean, one bite,
One
can
big
be,
one, you
be
can
big and
roll
heavy
through
hitters.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But it was a good year. I mean, we had our ups and downs. Don't get me wrong, but it was pretty solid.
Yeah. Do you think? I know there's been a lot of. It's kind of been a year of controversy in bass
I
fishing.
knew that one was coming.
I don't even know if I should bring it up, but I did it
no.
anyway. Why not?
Yeah.
Do you guys? So like, I don't even know if people listening really know the controversy, but it's the bed fish and smallmouth stuff. Do you think that's probably going away in the MLF just because of the
Well,
controversy?
Yeah, yeah. That was the biggest backlash I think that I've ever seen in bass fishing. It's been a pretty tough year in the industry overall. Your tackle companies aren't doing great. Boat sales and stuff, interest rates are up. Then this controversy starts up over a lot of an integrity issue among several other anglers, and the Cayuga deals was exactly what you're talking about. Was a tough lick for bass fishing in general. It opened up a lot of doors that we didn't really want to see opened up, as far as the format that we have is catch, weigh, release. So you have a smallmouth bed fishing tournament.
Right.
These fish bite more than once during the day. And the rule states, as we'll get into this, the rule states that you can't visually catch that bass more than one time a day.
Right.
Well, that was happening because you had guys rolling up there saying they couldn't see the fish, backing off of the same fish, and blind casting to it, catching it twice a day.
Right.
Whether they could see him or not, or however you make that out, that was a pretty good black eye.
Yeah.
And it
wasn't a good look. It just went against the spirit of our rule. Like, our rule is don't intentionally catch a bedding fish more than once a day, the same one. And I mean, for everybody that watched the live coverage, there was guys that did that. And in my opinion, they lost their integrity that week. Now they can gain it back, and some of them already have gained it back. But they cost some other guys that did the right thing some places,
For sure.
some points and stuff. And two, they robbed the fans of seeing, just say, a guy like Andy that was catching 20 pounds a day of largemouth, skipping under docks and catching them flipping. Like, fans like to see that kind of fishing too.
Yeah.
I know I had some incredible frog blow ups and footage on my GoPro that nobody got to see because I was in the middle of the pack where I definitely shouldn't have.
The guys are finding 2 smallmouth that are in the 4.5, 5 pound class and catching a 25-pound stringer off 2 fish.
Yeah.
It's BS.
Yeah.
That whole deal was BS. And that started out with a vague rule, which we talked about that well beforehand. It started in February, that talks about there's going to be some trouble coming at Cayuga because those smallmouth will be on beds, and they are big.
Yeah.
And people
And
are going to
aggressive.
catch them, and they're aggressive. They're going to bite more than once in a day. So you've got to put – I wanted the word target.
Yeah.
You can't target that same fish that day. So you got a big smallmouth bedded on the corner of this dock.
Yeah.
Well, you know where he is. So you can go up there and visually, whatever, catch him. After you catch him, you wind him in. Then now they were saying the way the rule read pretty much, you could catch that fish again as long as you couldn't see it.
Right.
But you're still targeting that same fish on the corner of that dock. Enough cast, you're going to catch him again. And that's where that just totally got out of hand.
Yeah, it's just a gray area, and it's like when you bring that much money, egos, and livelihoods on the line, it's almost a better play just to take that out of the equation and
100%.
It is.
Don't even fish a lake where smallmouth are going to be a lot of them on beds. Because then even if somebody ain't doing it, because I was watching the score tracker and wasn't even watching live, and I'm seeing a 5-4, a 5-4, a 5-4. I'm like,
Yeah, come on.
I ain't that dumb,
No.
because I fish smallmouth all the time. It's the same fish.
That's right.
Well,
And it's like, I mean, now, even if it ain't happening, everybody's going to be like, you catch a fish that weighs the same.
Yeah.
Now
Then they
everybody's
think-
looking at you.
Exactly. And you catch the ones because it's pounds and ounces.
Right.
You're going to catch the same weight fish a lot.
Right,
When you're
yeah.
catching, when you're bumping up there to that average size fish is a 2 3/4. You catch 4 or 5 of those a day sometimes.
That's right.
But
Mm-hmm.
that
Not those fives,
no,
six
Right.
twos, 4 13s, 5 4s.
it
Like, and I agree with you about the rule about the target, but still, everything doesn't have to be completely defined because we all know the spirit of the rule,
totally.
and you have to have some integrity, and you have to have a tournament director that is willing to call bullshit when he sees it,
I agree.
as we all know it when we see it.
Right.
I've spent my life on the water, and I know it when I see it. You know it when you see it, and Levi knows it when he sees it. And you got to have a tournament director that says, I don't care
Right.
about the definition.
Well,
You broke the spirit of the rule, and we're going to set you down tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Because you're not going to steal from your fellow competitor.
And that's the sad thing about it. I wouldn't do that because we're all pretty tight, dude.
Right.
Any of us out there, I don't want to steal from my friends.
Yeah.
I don't want to steal from anybody.
Right.
Saying I don't want to jeopardize my integrity
Yeah.
for anything like that. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
Not to me, it's not.
It's not worth it. It's
I would
not
ra-
worth that chance.
I'd way rather keep my buddies that I've made over the years out here than gain a $10,000 check.
Do you think that some of those guys got baited into that?
Yes, it was entrapment. Me and Russ
Sure.
have talked about this many times.
Sure.
There's some guys that got baited in because you've got a score tracker. You've got your score tracker right here in front of you, and you can go, hell, he's caught 3 5.5 pounders today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I know what's going on here.
I know
Yeah.
what's going on. Well, I haven't went back and recaught any fish, and I've caught a 5.2, a 5.4, a 4.5, and I'm 11 ounces out of the cut, and I can cull this 312 with a 5,
And I know right where he's at.
and I know right where he's at. So I'm in 14th place. I'm going to get bumped up into 5th, and I got 20 minutes to do it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They got
Yep.
entrapped into that because they seen everybody else doing it with no penalty.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know some of these guys are doing it. They have cameras.
Yeah.
The saddest part about Cayuga, it was an incredible fishery, an incredible tournament, and it was action-packed. Guys catching big smallmouth,
Yes.
catching big largemouth. But these guys got called out
Yeah.
by the general public.
Yeah. That's how obvious it was.
Exactly. That's what I was
Yeah.
about to say.
There's hundreds of thousands of fans. I don't know how many watch. There's a lot of people view that throughout the day
Yeah.
that are calling everybody out. Well, you can't catch the same fish twice.
Right.
We can look the rules up.
Yeah.
They're online. You can't catch the same
Right.
fish twice.
That's right.
I see the same dock.
Yeah. Same.
There's a sign on the dock that says "What the hell ever,"
Right.
and he just
Throwing
caught
out.
his 3rd 5-pounder,
Yep.
and
Yeah.
it's been right there within sight of that
Right.
dock.
Yeah.
So that's the embarrassing part about it. The world's dumbest criminals. You ever watch that show?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, that's damn dumb.
Yeah. I think sometimes you let emotion in like the heat of the moment blind your ability to see how obviously blatant it was. You know,
Yeah.
like in that situation, because everybody watching is like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
You know. But I think, like in archery, we have that was brought on like an unsportsmanlike conduct rule, and they can throw anything under that,
Yeah.
and they did this year. You know, and it's like, even if it ain't a spoken rule, if the board finds what you did unsportsmanlike,
Yes.
DQ'd.
See, and
like
y'all don't govern by polygraph.
No, we govern by people, our peers.
And it's a judgment call.
It's a
almost
judgment
like
call.
balls and strikes.
Yeah,
You
and I mean
can't
that's
argue it.
No, you can't argue
And
it.
we don't have that.
Right, yeah.
We need that.
Russ has said this since we started up. You cannot govern this league by polygraph.
Right, yeah.
No.
To me, a polygraph is a rug.
It's worthless, honestly.
It's
it's a
worth
crutch.
it is. It's something that it can go into a private questioning,
Right.
and it can be swept under the rug,
Right.
which is the polygraph,
Yeah.
which I don't agree with at all.
You think they use that as just a fear tactic?
100%.
Yeah.
Like
To get
hoping people ain't going to do
We've
something
said it
wrong?
ever since it started. It's just a threat.
You're right, yeah.
Better not lie.
The
Better
only
not do anything
guys,
dishonest. We'll catch you with this.
yeah, the only guys that have ever been reprimanded after a polygraph test are the ones that admitted they did wrong.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, that's all. It's just a tool to admit that you
Right.
did
Because
wrong.
they're proven to not be 100% accurate
Fact.
anyway. So
They're not. And the more you take one, the more comfortable you get with it. I know for a fact I've taken over 100 of them.
Yeah.
Because I fished weekend tournaments for 12 years before I came out here. It's like,
Yeah.
I've taken tons of them. I mean, I've never been nervous going into a polygraph.
Hell no.
I
Yeah.
mean,
And I know people that I'm not that's cheated in the tournament, but I know people that got out there and smoked pot,
and they passed the polygraph.
flying colors,
Right.
24 pounds.
Right.
I didn't know
That's a
Jacob
hell of a bag
Marlowe
today.
Fast fish.
Well, I didn't actually see them smoking pot. I just know they did all the time.
You're talking about weekend guys.
Yes.
Okay, that's
Not none
right.
of our guys, but hell, at this point, the integrity I saw wouldn't surprise me.
Dang, I was going to start guessing which ones it was. If you tell me.
What could shock you after what happened there on live television?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's like with us, there's so many things, and there's so many. When you have that many rules, there's just gray area where just like I didn't see that fish, you know. And for us, it's like for an example, this year we have, and some of this stuff we did for years because it wasn't against the rules, you know. But then when they started bringing out this unsportsmanlike conduct rule, and they can throw anything under the bus. Well, people stop riding the line then. They stop bending.
That's it.
You know, when they can throw anything under unsportsmanlike conduct, shooting out a turn,
Yes.
calling a breakdown when you don't have equipment failure. Like this year, there was a kid, unbelievably talented guy. I think the world of him. I ain't going to call him by name. I think he's a great kid and tons of talent. But he got DQ'd at one of the tournaments, and he was in the finals because of the unsportsmanlike conduct rule where we get an equipment failure. One a weekend, we get 45 minutes. You can call it. You don't even have to prove you have something wrong with your bow, but you call breakdown, you leave the range, you got 45 minutes to fix your stuff and come back once. Well, it was in London, Kentucky, super dark on the ranges, the hardest tournament we have to see. Everybody hates starting there because we start at 7:30 on Saturday. Can't see in the woods. Well, he was like, you know what? I'm gonna call breakdown and wait 45 minutes for it to lighten up. Fine and dandy. But he told his group what he was doing. He said, you know what? I can't see. I'm calling breakdown. Left the range. They protested it. It got put in front of the committee. They found it unsportsmanlike and DQ'd him.
Yeah.
You know? Where if he would have just said, guys, something ain't right.
Yeah.
I'm leaving. No, I mean, nothing you can ever
Right.
say.
Yeah, my wrist is loose.
Exactly.
Yeah,
But that rule right there is really straightened up a lot of the not rule breaking, but bending.
I said exactly the same thing when all this happened. I said, this all can fall back. And we do have that in the rules, sportsmanship.
That's right.
And that's under the discretion of the tournament director.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
If
all
it's
that was unsportsmanlike. I mean, come on.
Absolutely.
Of course it
It's
was.
unsportsmanlike.
Right.
Yep.
My whole thing was with everything that went down. And I mean, it's serious, Levi. There was people talking after this retirement.
Really?
We're going to, yes, it was bad. I'll just be honest. It was nasty bad. So you got people that's threatening or wanting to retire because they didn't want to associate and threaten their integrity by being in the group.
Yeah.
Right.
I was one of them.
Yeah.
At this point, I'm like, do I really want to smear my name
Right. Yeah.
in this same group? And everybody think that, hell, Andy did it. He just didn't get caught doing it.
Right.
He didn't have a camera. He didn't catch anything while he was on camera.
Yeah.
You know, I just,
People
I don't know. I
the
think,
worst when you have a flawed image.
Yeah, it don't just hurt the guys that did it.
oh
hurts us
no,
too.
it's the whole group pays the price. And that's what it was so selfish about several different guys.
Right.
And also there being no penalty
Right.
for committing these type of infractions.
Right. And now some of them are good guys.
Oh my God.
Maybe all of
yes,
them. I just
dude.
know a couple of them.
Man.
Yes.
Yeah, and honestly, a couple of them are my close friends. You
Yeah.
know? And I was like, dang it.
Yep.
You know, just watching it because you know who somebody is. And that's what sucks about sports and competition. It can change you in a moment
Yeah.
Yeah.
and show some colors that ain't really you.
For
You
sure.
know?
Mm-hmm.
And so I
Intense.
think, I mean, it was just unfortunate.
It was. And I would have said it's blown out of proportion, but it really wasn't.
Right, yeah.
It was bad. And I seen one of the worst. ass chewings I have ever ever heard and saw in my life at one of our meetings after that.
Yep.
And James Watson gave it.
Did he?
Drill sergeant, 100%
Oh, that's right. He was a drill sergeant.
military chewing.
Yes.
It was a good one.
Man, that's so crazy because he's like that funny guy, like on his Instagram and
He's
stuff.
fiery.
He's
Fiery.
intense.
I would like to have seen that.
He lost it.
He did.
He lost his mind.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, it was about a 3 or 4 minute solid rant, and nothing that I will ever say on any podcast, and especially this one. But we can't say a whole lot because we've signed a deal. We can't discuss our meetings, but
it needed to be said.
it was 100% straight up exactly what needed to happen.
Yeah.
And there was 2 guys got up at the end of that and gave him a standing O. Is Andy Morgan and Russ Lane. I bet everybody in there thought, well, these 2 guys are jackasses.
Did the guys that he was talking to or about try to defend themselves? I guess, well, you just said you couldn't talk about it. Hey,
Well,
get us a
He's
couple
kind
more
of
drinks.
addressing
couple more drinks
everybody
in
as
here.
a whole. It was about integrity.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
there was a couple of them he kind of got on there pretty
Yeah.
good. And they were just trying to make light of the rule and just
Right,
kind
yeah.
of sidestep. And
Well, they were making it more about the definitions of the rules and ignoring the spirit of
Right.
the rule.
that's exactly
The-
right.
The spirit of the rule is the deal. We can define, like I've been on rules committees, I've been on boards, and I know this. You can keep redefining rules, but all you're doing is splitting hairs because it will never ever ever stop. You just keep adding words to the definition. At some point, you have to be willing to stop and say, okay, you have to respect the spirit of the rule, and you got
That's
to
so
have
perfect.
a tournament director that enforces the spirit of the rule under a sportsman-like conduct.
Yeah,
rule. And one other thing, we as a whole, as almost like a team, all the anglers need to start calling each other out like we're doing right now.
I totally
We
agree
need
with
to
that.
we need to govern ourselves.
You have to.
If nobody else can govern us, then we're gonna start doing it ourselves. Or I'm going to.
Absolutely. You remember what Watson said about he said, so any visible bass, he goes, so what now? You can't catch schoolers? Remember when boys
Yeah,
arguing with
that's
you?
right.
So if one schooling comes up and gets your top water, he said, you're trying to totally trash the rule.
Right.
And you're exactly right.
You'll never stop it. You'll
The
never
spirit of
start-
the rule.
Right. It'll be about schoolers and flying fish and friggin'
Oh, it got out of bounds.
like yeah.
No, it didn't get out of bounds. It was brought up,
Out of
but he straightened it. He put it right back in bounds. And that was the end of discussion.
Yeah.
It was.
That was the end of the meeting.
He might make a good tournament director one day.
Was there any doubt in your mind?
No doubt.
I can tell you this wouldn't happen.
No. And he would be worth every penny for that league as an investment. Because if you lose your integrity as a league, sponsor money's gonna go somewhere else.
Right.
So
But when the
my
trust,
advice to all the leagues are protect that integrity.
100%.
It'll be a good investment.
yeah,
for
because
you.
you're going to lose the trust of the people watching,
That's right.
and then you lose everything.
That's right.
That's 100%. We got back to the house that night.
Yes.
We all said, I said, this is the worst thing that's ever happened in professional bass fishing that I've ever witnessed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah, and from my standpoint, looking out, it was a dang, but it's not something where I'm like, I'm not going to watch bass fish anymore, and I don't think it would be for anybody yet. But I think if it was a continual thing that doesn't get nipped in the bud,
It could be.
it could be.
I'm getting text immediately that afternoon by people that spend money on me and the league. That's how bad I knew it stunk.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, it wasn't good.
No.
But it's there's nothing more frustrating too, and it's really it's on the anglers, but like you said, it's on somebody to enforce the rule,
100%.
Yeah.
right?
That's right.
Yes.
There's nothing more frustrating as a competitor than to play by the rules to a T and watch your competitors bend and break them and nothing get done about it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
You know,
totally
I
right.
mean-
Like Russ said, we're going to start calling each other out on this
Right.
kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And there was fish hooked outside the mouth there, which to me, that's a blatant
Right.
Yeah.
violation.
Now that
That's
is a
not-
rule that can be defined, like in
Totally.
yeah. I mean, if it can be defined, that's even more easy to enforce. Like,
Yeah.
but don't do it.
So now there's been a rule change with that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you knew that. So now if you're sight fishing and obviously you're pitching in a bed and you can see the fish, hook the fish, you got him coming, you pick him up to catch him. You know what I mean? You said 2.5 pounds, so you're going to catch him and so he don't hit the floor. He falls off. He falls off in the floor. Obviously, you can see him coming in. You got him in the mouth. But if he falls off in the floor before you can show your boat official, guess what?
No, he's throwing back.
He's non-scorable.
But here's the thing though about definitions and redefining definitions. Guys are just not going to announce that they see one.
I didn't see that fast.
Boat
That's a
officials usually sitting down. They never see them.
Well, it's harder to see even if you're standing on the back of the boat.
Yeah.
You're lower.
Right.
You don't have that angle.
So
Exactly.
So you write your definition that makes sense, and you don't change it, and you stick to the spirit of the rule. And if it's a situation where you can see that you know it when you see it, and a tournament angler knows it when he sees it. If he sees that guy do that, fish comes off in the boat now, you got to throw him back. If you don't throw him back, you're going to sit out tomorrow.
Yeah.
You're going to sit on the bank.
Yeah,
Right.
you're done.
Right.
Well, and this has been a thorn in bass fishing side since day one.
Yeah.
Sight fishing and the integrity and people catching fish outside the mouth was the biggest deal. And it's been, I remember it in bass, FLW, now MLF.
Yeah.
It's just not new.
Right.
Just the violation was caught by the general public. That's the new thing.
Yeah.
I can
Yeah,
remember
it's
it saying
live
2
now.
years ago, a bunch of them got DQ'd because they were idling, looking in practice,
Yeah.
running their big engine, looking in practice. And that was thought that was a little vague, but it ended up being, it was in the rule.
It was. Mm-hmm.
And they DQ'd some high profile guys. Cost one of them AOY.
Yeah. And it was something like then, back, then we weren't like quite as innovative as we are now. And it wasn't that long ago. It was in 2010, maybe.
Probably.
Ah,
so.
what
it
was
was
that
10.
like to fish when dinosaurs were on
I
Earth?
knew that was coming.
I know.
Hey, it was actually unbelievable.
It wasn't 10, it was 6. It was the first year of the elites. But we weren't as innovative then. Like things are rolling fast now.
Yeah.
So it wasn't the rules probably didn't get read as much back then.
True.
So it was something that wasn't that I don't think anybody that got DQ'd in that tournament, I don't think they were intentionally breaking the rule. I don't think they knew they were breaking the
I
rule.
don't think they
Because of the guys
a
that
couple
they
of-
caught.
100%. A couple of them just didn't know you couldn't do that.
They didn't know.
And a handful did. And
Right.
they got turned in.
Yeah.
But you can't do that. But the guys that got turned in and, hey, did you do this? Yep. Well, you're DQ'd. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
They kept their integrity.
Yeah.
Cost them the tournament. Cost them
Yeah.
a lot of money.
Moved on.
But guess what?
Well, mistakes happen. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying?
Absolutely.
Own up to it.
Just own it.
Yeah,
Own it.
nobody filed a lawsuit against anybody.
Right.
It was all good. It's just part of the game.
Yes.
I've been thrown out of baseball games before. I'm
I'm
it
shocked.
happens.
I'm shocked.
Anybody ever charge a mound on you?
Twice.
Twice?
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
It had to be a little
Did
fun.
it end well for them or
No.
no? I'd like to see that.
No.
Big Daddy.
I'm going to look that up on YouTube. See if it's
I can
anywhere on the
promise you
internet.
I've never had my ass whooped on a baseball field.
Yeah. I like it.
I can promise you.
Why did they charge the man?
Because I threw at them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Was this a coach call or a Big Daddy call?
This is my call. I'll never forget, dude. I was in Springfield. There was this guy. He was a first baseman. He was a giant. I couldn't believe this guy wasn't in the big leagues. And I was getting drummed. Well, he had already hit a bomb off of me about 2 innings before. He comes back up. It's like, I say I was getting drummed. It was like 4-0 or whatever. And he's taking daddy hacks off of me. I ain't fooled him at all. Well, I threw him a fastball down the middle, and he just fouls it straight back. So he's on it. And it was my best fastball I had. I was like, well, I gotta make him feel as uncomfortable as I feel right now. So I buzzed him, and it wasn't like at his chin or anything, but it was probably at his letters. That big joker come running out there. and the whole bench is cleared. It was sketchy because he was huge.
One of them chuckle
But I-
bells where you you counter punch and back it up.
I duck dived and dodged and got out of it. And, you know,
Oh shoot.
yeah.
But to answer your question, Levi, it's been an interesting year.
Yeah. But it's you know what? Maybe it's a learning experience, I hope. You know, that's about all you can do with it at this point.
It definitely has been, and I do think bass fishing, the leagues, multiple leagues, have learned from this.
Yeah.
Just hope they engage the sportsmanship rule and they grow with some balls.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
Make the call.
For sure. And I think, it's on to greener pastures now. It's fall hunting season.
Heck yeah.
No more directors, no more meetings, no more lectures.
I know you're glad.
Good
I know
Lord,
we're
have
glad.
mercy.
The thing I think us three are all most looking forward to.
From about June on,
woods.
it's survival mode
It
till
is.
Yeah.
September.
Our saying of us three for sure: avoid dying.
One more year.
Give us one more year
One
to
more
hunt,
season.
and we'll take it from there.
Well, it's here, guys. Thank you for coming and sitting in here and talking to me a little bit. It's been fun.
Yeah,
Enjoyed it
same
as
here.
always.
I enjoyed the whole day today.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
As frustrating as it was,
Yeah.
I'm glad it's over.
We've learned a lot.
I'm gonna go get in the pool and hang out with the boys and call it a day.
Let's
Sounds
do it.
good.
All right.